Hi, welcome to the video lecture on Lamport's mutual exclusion algorithm for distributed mutual exclusion. Lamport's algorithm is fall under a non-token based category. In this particular algorithm, if there are n sites in your distributed system, then there is a request set, a data structure called request set Ri, which is of a set of S1, S2 till Sn, all individually representing the site ID, and every site Si keeps a queue called request queue, which contains all the mutual exclusion requests received, which are ordered by their timestamps. The algorithm requests message to be delivered in FIFO order, first out order, between every pair of sites. Let's move on to the algorithm algorithm proposed by Lamport's for mutual exclusion in distributed environment. This algorithm consisting of three parts. One is, first, it deals with the requisition for critical section by any site Si. Then on executing the critical section, what happens? Then on exiting the critical section, on completing the CS execution, what happens? So there are three parts in this algorithm. So let's see one by one. So the first part is requesting for critical section. When a site Si wants to enter into critical section, first the site Si will send a request message. I already mentioned that the request message is along with the timestamp. Here the TSN, Si is the timestamp here, and Si is the site ID which initiate this request. And to all the other sites, the rest of the sites in the request set. For example, if there are three sites, then S1 wants to enter, it sends request to S2 and S3. This is what broadcasting, the request is broadcasted. After broadcasting the request, then the site Si updates its request queue, RQI. So it is already mentioned that there is separate request queue at every site. So that request queue is an array which is going to be updated with the current timestamp, request timestamp, which is generated by the particular site Si. Right? Now let's see. Yes. Now let's take an example, simple example. There is site S1 and another site S2. Whenever the site S1 wants to enter into critical section, it sends the request message along with the timestamp. So here the timestamp TS is 1 because this is the first request, and the ID of the site which is sending the request is S1. After sending this request, the request queue of 1 will be updated. Okay, so this queue will be updated with this request number TS1, S1. Right? Now, on receiving this request, the next site, opponent site Sj. So here, let's say this is Si and this is Sj. On receiving the request sent by S1, S2 will update its own request array RQ2 with the timestamp value sent by S1, right? Then it sends a reply. It sends a reply message with a timestamp, right? Okay, this is what is given. So while S1 wants to enter into critical section, it is generating a request message with the timestamp value and send it to all the other sites in the request set. Okay, just like this. Here the request set is having only two sites, S1 and S2 here. because we are, for example, we are considering two sites. Okay, so S1 is the initiating site, has to send a request message to S2. Right. On receiving SI's request, the site S2, that is SJ, has to update its own queue as well. It replies to SI. It has just an acknowledgement message. Right. Now, executing the critical section, the site can decide upon to enter into critical section on two circumstances. The one is if site SI has received any request or messages from other sites with a timestamp larger than its own. Otherwise, SI's request is found to be top of the request queue of SI. Right? So is there any two contexts? On occurrence of these two contexts, the site SI can decide upon whether it is eligible to enter into the critical section or not. Right? So similarly, you look at this situation where the request queue of SI, this is the site S1, is the one which is requesting and wanting to enter into critical section. Now on looking at, it doesn't receive any other request. Only the S1 site is requesting, not other sites are requesting. This is the scenario one. And also the request queue, there is no more request available. Only the top of the request queue is S1's request. So the site S1 now can enter into critical section. Right? It's now eligible to enter into critical section. In this case, for example, I will be explaining it in a while illustrating the example, but just for simple understanding, I am saying this. And on completing the critical section, now the site S1 is deciding to release it, isn't so? Okay. On releasing the critical section, the SI, the site SI, which is executing presently, holding presently the critical section, will remove the request, will remove its own request on the request queue. So this on eliminate, on exiting, come out of the critical section, this request, the S1's own request is deleted from the queue. Similarly, yes, it's deleted from the queue, from its own queue, and also it sends a release message. Now SI sends a, S1 sends a release message to S2 on exiting the critical section. Right? S2 message. Now on receiving this release message, what S2 will do is it removes the top of the queue. It removes that, it understands that the site one has entered into the critical section, which is recently available in the top of the queue, has completed, so that request has to be deleted, pop up from the queue. Okay, so this is what happening. Okay, now let's understand the three different activities. One is requesting the critical section. While a site SI wants to enter into critical section, it sends a request along with the timestamp to all other sites in the system. On receiving such a kind of request messages from any other site, the recipient sites will send a reply. Same time, it updates the request timestamp at its own request queue. On executing the critical section, the site has to decide upon whether it is eligible to enter into critical section or not. The context here is one is there more than one request? Then the site can decide whether its own request is lesser than the others. That's what the timestamp is larger. It received timestamps are larger than its own. That means its own timestamp is lesser. And another scenario, the request queue the top of the request queue, its own request is available. So in such a case, the site can understand that it is eligible to enter into critical section, and wishing it wants to release the critical section and come out of it. By the time its deleting the top of the request queue, its own request queue, and also send a release message to all other sites. On receiving this release message, all other sites will remove SI's request from their own queues. Okay, so this is what actually the Lamport's mutual exclusion algorithm for distributed system works. Now coming to an example, right? So the request set, here our request set is consisting of three sites, S1, S2 and S3, right? Now let's start with S3. The site S3 wants to get into critical section, want to execute critical section. So it creates a timestamp 1 because at the time 1 S3 start requesting. So TS is equal to 1. Here TS, the timestamp number is 1, right? The second parameter is S3. Now this S3, now site S3 sends a request message to all the other sites. What are all the other sites available now? S1 and S2, obviously. So this is the S3, site S3 is requesting, sending a request message along with the timestamp TS1 S3 to S1 as well to S2, right? Now, according to our algorithm, what happens on receiving this request, right? The sites S1 and S2 has to update their own queue. Now, before that, S1 also wants to get into the critical section. So it generates its own timestamp where the timestamp value is 2 and its ID is S1 and broadcasting its request to all the other sites S2 and S3. That is what the request message. Once after this request is forwarded, then S3's request reached the S1. Now S1 updated its queue as well, its own request, right? So the in updated queue, first request here is S3's, then S1 because the timestamp is lesser. S3's timestamp is lesser. Now what happens? S2 also update, no, on receiving this request. Okay. Now S2 replies both the sites, right? For S3's request, S2 update its queue and replies. Similarly, on receiving S1's request, S2 updates the queue with the S1's request and replies. Okay, so the blue color dashed line indicates reply, right? So here understand there are two requests. One is from S3, another one is from S1. S3 request comes first, then the S1's request, but obviously shown in the timestamp itself. Now look at here, all the request queue of S1 contains 2 timestamps, request queue of S2 contains 2 timestamps, S3 also having 2 timestamps, and ensure that all the top of the queues are S3's request. TS1 S3, here also TS1 S3 and here also TS1 S3. Now the site S1 S3 are generating requests, no, or wanted to enter into critical section. Now this is the time to decide which one should become eligible to get into critical section. Now I said where there is multiple requests, right? Now S1 founds it is having 2 requests. One is its own request, another one is request received from S3. But the timestamp of S3, the timestamp of S3 is lesser, right? Lesser than timestamp of S1. So it finds some other request which is lower than its own timestamp. So S1 understands that it is not eligible, and also its queue says the S1's request is not in the top. So both the conditions false here, so that S1 decides it's not eligible. And S3 here will check the same condition. It also received a request from S1 but that timestamp is more than this its own timestamp. And also the top of the request queue is S3. So now S3 is eligible to enter into critical section. So S3 enters into critical section. Okay, critical section. On completing the critical section, what will happen? S3 will send a release message to both the other sides, S2 and S1. On receiving this information, release message, S2 will delete S3's timestamp, request timestamp. Okay, so this is deleted so that only S1's timestamp is available in the S2's queue. Similarly, S1 also deletes the timestamp of S3, request timestamp of S3. So only the top of the queue is now S1's timestamp becomes the top of the queue. Now what happens? S1 again, then similarly S3 also deleted its own request, then the timestamp queue will become, request queue becomes only one entry, which is S1's, right? Now S1 again check whether it becomes eligible. Yes, there is no more request, and also its own timestamp is on the top of its own request queue. So now S1 understand that it become eligible and it enter into critical section. Okay, so this is how actually the Lamport's algorithm works, right? Okay, you can look at, there are request messages generated by one site is broadcasted to all other sites along with the timestamp, and on receiving the request message, the other sites are replying to the sending site, right? And the site determines its eligibility, right, with the help of the request queue. And if it is eligible, it enters into critical section. On completing the critical section, the site holding the critical section will send a release message to other sites. On receiving this release message, all the sites will update the request queue by deleting the critical section site's request. On to the performance of Lamport's algorithm. This algorithm requires n-3 into n-1 messages per CS invocation. How we can see? n-1 request, n-1 reply, n-1 release messages are being sending by the algorithm. That's why 3 number of n-1, 3 n-1 messages per CS invocation is required. Now, in order to optimize the Lamport's mutual exclusion, we can do one thing, right? That is, instead of 3 n-1 messages, we can make it by 2 n-1 by simply suppressing the reply message in certain situation, right? We are allowing request and release, but the reply is suppressed where actually, for example, look at here, S2 and S1 are two sides. S2 is sending a request, critical section request to S1. S1 simultaneously want to enter into critical section, so that it also sends a request to S2. But on receiving S2's request, S1 finds that its own request is bigger, so that it sends reply immediately. But S2 knows that S2's request is smaller, so it is eligible. S2 now is eligible to get into critical section, so it suppressed the reply message. It need not to send the reply message to S1 because S2 is the one which is eligible. On not receiving the reply message, S1 understand that some other site executing the critical section become eligible and executing the critical section and wait till the reply comes. So the reply and release are merged together and sent to S1 once after S2 completes the critical section. This is how actually a Lamport's mutual exclusion algorithm can be optimized.